I mean, let's face it, the American dream is bullshit, right? People are fully connected, yet more disconnected than ever, using technology to talk to one another, yet they don't even know themselves. Disconnected from their own life's purpose, further from each other, so much so that people are hitting burnout left and right. They're just fully locked in, but don't know where they're at. Health has been on a steady decline. Testosterone levels are dropping like crazy over the last 100 years. See, both men and women, like we've recently hit a point where we're realizing we're in this rat race and we're in this never-ending cycle where we're not getting anywhere. So after all of this, I realized like, how do I save everybody, or how do I save myself, right? Like, how do we break free from this bullshit? Imagine a place where you could silence all your thoughts, remove all your stress, get away from work, get away from bills and responsibilities, focus on rehabilitation, focus on regenerating, focus on healing. So I wanted to remove all of those life situations and allow you to fully immerse yourself in the healing culture. So after asking that question, I realized Co.Xist, it's the solution, it's the answer. It's not just a retreat, it's a sanctuary for transformation. It's an eco-community in the heart of Colombia, built on sustainable living, holistic wellness, personal growth. It's also a movement. It's a call to reconnect with nature, with each other, and with the truest versions of ourselves. This is where you will achieve real growth, not just for the weekend, 3 days, 5 days, 7-day retreats, but more for a lifetime.
I'm so happy. Look how happy he is. Like this is why I love this place, guys.
My father couldn't physically be around growing up, but he always taught me something, and it was that he didn't have to physically He didn't have to physically be present in order to actually be in my life. He would call at the same time every day. I was always excited to pick up the phone and talk to him. And yet I never felt like a lack of a father just because he wasn't around. Growing up, my mother had to work like 3 different jobs. She was barely ever home. So I ended up going on the wrong path of things. So I started hanging out with guys that would just do illegal activities and sell drugs and rob places and things like that. So I became part of my environment, unfortunately. So much so that I started chasing money. I started chasing money, because that's what rap music taught me, that's what my environment taught me, that's what my friends taught me. And it got to the point where I started hitting the numbers I wanted to hit. You know, I became a millionaire very early on in age. There was a point where I was making about 50 grand a week. And I was like empty inside, but externally I was living the best life possible. What ends up happening is everything falls apart really, really drastically around 2014. And I'm facing like going to prison 20 years plus. And everything falls apart. I mean, like my income falls apart, my friends abandoned me, the girlfriends that I had left me alone, to the point where like my body collapsed. I was doing steroids back then and my whole body just started breaking down. I lost my hair, I was fighting for custody for my son. That was an 8-month battle, just took me down like, it was suicide. It was like the first time I felt what depression was like. I didn't know what depression was before that. It was the first time I stared at the barrel of a shotgun and I was just like, I need to go. Like, I shouldn't be here. And I realized I was empty. Oddly, at that moment, when I was like staring at the gun and facing it, and I was like, I want to go. My son ends up calling me. It was like 11 o'clock at night. And it was weird because it was a weekday. He doesn't remember this, but it was a weekday. And he would never call me past like 9 o'clock at night. I don't know what made him call me 11:05 p.m. that night on a weekday, but it was right at that moment. And I was like, I have a reason to live, not a reason to die. And things just started like rolling in a different direction from that moment forward. Now, I didn't fix myself 100% because I didn't know what to do to fix myself. I was still living the life. But it made me want to ask questions like, why? Why did I go through this? Why did I fall apart? Why did my income disappear? Why did my friends stop talking to me? And as I kept asking why, and even saying things like, why God, why this, why that, I end up starting to seek answers. And as I'm seeking answers, I discover different Instagram pages to follow, different books to read I had never read before. So I started reading Laws of Success by Napoleon Hill, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, even the Bible in different religions. I read some of the Quran, some of the Bible, different things like that. And I just wanted different pieces of information. As I did that, I realized my mind was changing. I would look in the mirror and I'm like, based on the knowledge I'm understanding, I could also change other things about me. Then I went into the physical side of things. I went into personal training. I took the NASM certification. I started working out. I started like eating different. I started changing my body. Now I got my mind and my gut in control. Now I look in the mirror and I'm like, holy fuck, I feel like good. Like, I look good. I think good. I'm clearer. What else can I change? Then I got into biohacking and I realized like I could optimize my heart. I could optimize the way my body moves and functions. I could optimize how I work better. And I started going through the discovery of like 6 different pillars of myself, which is like mind, gut, heart, sacral, which I'll get into, spirit, physical. And then after those 2 years, by the end of that next year, is when I unlocked the spiritual side of me, which was like a crazy moment. So after my journey with plant medicine, I ended up like opening up a spiritual connection with my soul. It was the first experience I ever had where I started feeling energy, seeing things that weren't there before, and being more in tune with myself. I was way more conscious with the thoughts and the way I lived and did things. This flowed into my sacral energy, where I wasn't in tune. I thought sex was just sex and it was fun. And I connected with people without a deeper meaning. But thanks to my spiritual journey and connection there, I was able to transfer this over to my sacral energy and understand that we create such powerful energy in that space where you don't want to share it with everybody. It's like a hidden gem. Now, after I healed all 6 pillars of myself, over the years, I started like fucking up again. I didn't know why. But after hanging out with a couple friends and having conversations, I noticed, now I know what the 7th pillar was. It was the lack of others that were on the same path. That's what made me build a brotherhood. That's what made me be inspired with Co.Xist. I wanted to form a community with other like-minded individuals where we all reconnect and keep each other aligned with all 7 pillars. While growing up, or as a young adult, I pretty much was on the wrong side of things. I had 45 employees. Problem is, I didn't have a legit business. So I realized I was meant to be a sort of leader, but I was leading people down the wrong path. I was filling in the holes of what environment told us to fill, but not helping people discover their own journeys or their own purpose. After going through my own battles and my own mishaps and losing everything a couple times, I ended up going through the challenges that I had to face to discover a new version of me. Once I hit these points, I realized I'd be a better leader if I helped others discover themselves through these paths as well. That's what helped me think of my son first, where I was like, how do I put him through something where he doesn't have to go through the journey I went through the challenges and battles? Because these were battles that I went through and I had to discover within myself. I realized these are the values of the program itself, and I want to be able to instill these values in others. As I was thinking like what would be the best place to make somebody force themselves to transform or become a better version, I wanted to make it a little difficult for myself and others. I want to start from scratch, something where there's no city, no construction material, a lot of nature that you have to walk through and figure out the path. I wanted the climate to be not too comfortable, just a little bit under comfort, so that it puts you in the state of challenging yourself consistently. And I think this area meets that criteria. The nearest city is about an hour away, but it just puts you in this setting of strong character and survival, which I think is perfect for what we're trying to achieve here at Co.Xist. So this specific piece of land actually has 75 acres, mountain, volcanic soil, 4 water springs on the property itself. Cool climate, high elevation, pristine, like very luscious greens, beautiful trees. The animals are massive, well nourished, eating good vitamins and minerals. And to top it off, I love waterfalls and I love hiking. And we have 4 waterfalls, one being a 90-meter tall, massive waterfall. I'm gonna show you guys later. So I was like, this is it. This is heaven on earth. This is where we're going. This is one of the entrances into the land. We're gonna be developing this out, but for now, we're gonna be walking through this path. It's pretty muddy. It's part of the experience. So be careful, but have fun. Another thing about this specific property was, and I knew this was the right decision because I ended up visiting the neighbors here at Hostal La Laguna, which you can see back here. And the owner, his father was here before him. They've been here for 160 years. Now that, to me, was pretty fucking epic. Why? Because they don't want to develop the land into another city. They want to keep it natural as it is and keep the spirit of the land. So that to me was cool. But then I ended up having a conversation with him, telling him, hey, I'm gonna be your neighbor. His question was, at first he was a little hesitant. So, hey, great, another American coming out here to build a city. I said, no, I'm actually looking to do this. And I gave him some examples of what Co.Xist is gonna be. He opened up his eyes wide and said, whatever you need, you could count on me to help you because I love what you're doing. As long as you're not ruining nature, getting rid of animals, and building the city, I'm all for you. And that's when I knew I made the right choice. I got into regenerative farming and I started understanding a lot more about it. I learned that nature's gold is really having your own water source. As we progress, we're also losing nature's gold. It's like a lot of cities are cleaning water and feeding it to you, but it's not like tap water you could just drink from natural springs. This has 4 main water sources. It's like 7.7 pH water out of the land. No need for filter. Aside from that, I was testing what soils are better to be able to raise perfect cattle and animals and sheep, goat, whatever. Apparently, volcanic soil is some of the best soil around. And this is the darkest, richest soil I found. So we ended up hitting the jackpot because this has both. You see how dark and rich this soil is. Compare it when we go to Medellin and look at the dirt there. Certain other mountains you'll see like clay, tan, colored soil. The darker, the more moisture trapped, the better it is to grow better product. So aside from checking off all those points on the checklist as to where the perfect land would be, I wanted to be able to like add excursions and get close to a waterfall because we all like ice baths, or at least I do. Now, turns out this was perfect because the waterfall behind me is literally melted ice from the glacier of Nevado Santa Isabel. See, to me, like Co.Xist is about this. I'm not making them live in my environment. It's more about me adapting to their environment. This is where they're from. They just roam free and wild. They're not caged up. And they're allowing me into their territory. There's 3 mountains with glaciers at the top to be able to visit. Santa Isabel, Tolima, Nevado de Ruiz. These are actually 3 active glaciers in Colombia. We're actually in the middle of the Andes Mountains. This is considered Colombia's coffee axis between Manizales and Pereira. This is heading toward Parque Nacional Los Nevados, which is the Nevado State Park. Now, the cool thing about this area, you have coffee towns like Salento, Finlandia, super colorful, vibrant, very beautiful towns. If you're into coffee, this is the perfect destination for it. I wanted to make sure that we integrate a holistic lifestyle, an eco-community where we're not destroying the environment. We're pretty much using materials from the environment. So I want the cabins, the architecture, all to integrate with the nature around us. The gyms, the facilities, it's gonna have an eco-brutalist flow. We are gonna integrate some concrete, but a lot of greenery. Now, regenerative farming is one of the key things we wanna include. We want the animals to regenerate the land and keep it usable as we move them around. So when you bring the cows into one field and they pretty much eat all that grass and stomp around, it creates movement within the soil to allow worms and other bugs to be able to regenerate that soil as they move to the next patch of land. But now that soil is actually usable for another set of animals, such as pigs. Pigs like to swarm around in the soil and cause those bugs to stir up and generate new minerals. So then you're pretty much regenerating the land on its own. Instead of having to seek new soil, you're pretty much helping it regenerate on its own through the use of the animals and what their natural being is. I thought that was pretty cool when I learned about it, and I wanted to integrate that here. We are working with a lot of Colombian architects, and why I say a lot is because I'm hiring one firm, Cumbre, to be able to develop the 12 eco cabins. They have worked in this space and in this area a lot. They're from Pereira. They are going to be building cabins that are very eco-friendly. Then I'm going to be hiring another local firm to be able to design the gym facility, the functional training space, another one for the restaurant, and another one called Inspiral Studios to be able to design the Maloca for the spiritual gatherings. And I want to make sure that I keep it all Colombian. I want all the architects, all the construction, all the work we're putting into this land of its own people. So remember how I explained, I'm not going to be telling you the location until you become a part of the family. It's all part of the experience. It's very secluded, very private, and we're going to keep it as a hidden gem. So don't tell anybody. Aside from being out in nature and discovering yourself through nature, I wanted to add and integrate a couple different programs and courses, teachings, and offerings. I want to teach people about regenerative farming, teach people about holistic living, spiritual medicine, have courses and programs designed to help men and women alike understand agriculture, understand raising cattle, understand the importance of food as fuel. We'll have some workshops where we had woodcrafting experiences, be able to build a cabin from a tree, a couple trees. Have different people come out here and teach us about horticulture and agriculture and turning seeds into food. I myself will be hosting the 90-day father retreat, as well as some 3, 5, and 7-day luminous and spiritus retreats, meant more for the masculinity side of things and focusing on the 7 pillars. But yeah, we wanted to make it a fun retreat space where if you host retreats and you have your own community, you could come and book us out for 7 days, host the event there. We have the Maloca, everything necessary for you to be able to just all-inclusive, bring your people and make your thing happen. So if you host your own retreats, you want a place that has the right food, is in tune with organic necessities, is in the right natural environment, understands the importance of sacredness, being one with nature. And we'll be able to provide all these things here for you, making it easy for you to simply just tell people, this is where we're going, this is where it'll be held, and we'll handle the rest for you. So we're on the Co.Xist soil right now. So this is the current establishment here. One of the ideas is to not knock it down, but keep whatever structural stuff is there and just build like the proper place to house the animals, because this is where they're used to being fed at. So we'll keep this as the animal stall, this section for that. So this hose is what brings water to the tank. That tank gets stored water for the house, and it's the same hose that's connected to the main water source, which you'll see is just filtered from the land. Pure natural mountain spring water. That's the water line that goes to the house. It doesn't get more pure. When you attend a 3-day retreat and you go to Peru, you do ayahuasca with some shamans, you awaken a spiritual side of you, and then you fly back to Miami and you're hanging out with your old friends. 2 weeks later, you're partying, drinking, doing drugs, hanging out with girls. You probably lost the reason you went to Peru in the first place. I wanted to kind of change that. I saw that as a problem, not as a fix. You awoke in a spiritual side, but you didn't give a space for that spiritual side to connect and integrate with you. Now, what I wanted to change is the 3-day, 5-day thing. I wanted to create an environment where this becomes the new version of you. After you're here for 90 days, you could go back anywhere. It won't affect you because you won't lose touch of the things you acknowledged or understood. Now, Co.Xist isn't just a place for men. We house the environment and the facilities to be able to hold a men's retreat. But Co.Xist, we're thinking globally. We want to be able to help everybody, men, women, and children. It's the perfect place for you to come with your families. Co.Xist is for everybody. I learned that no matter how much I healed myself, it's easy to fall off. We're human at the end of the day. You can't be too deep into your spiritual side because you'll lose track of your human side. You can't be too deep into your human side because you'll lose sight of purpose and all the spiritual things. But if we're right in the middle consistently, whether we go up and down, we're around others that help us stay in that midline, we're always gonna have the right approach at living. So I figured, what if there was a safe space where all of us had the same thought process and we could all keep each other there? Everybody has the same thoughts. Many conversations through 14 countries I traveled to, people from different cultures still had the same mindset of, yeah, I agree with that. It would be awesome to think like that. It would be awesome to eat like that. It'd be awesome to be with other people that think the same way. So I figured, let's make that space, but also let's keep each other within that space even after we leave. That to me was the key point of community. You come here, you meet others with like-minded mindsets. After you guys leave, you're still gonna be in touch with each other. You're now forming a new world and a new community within one.
How do you feel after the waterfall?
Amazing. It's like refreshed. It's just like a new burst of energy, a fresh cup of coffee. It's just awesome. It's electrifying. A lot of people won't be able to come out here and stay for a whole 90 days, right? It sounds crazy. It's like, get away from your family, get away from work, get away from bills and responsibilities for 90 days. But you are able to come out here 3 days, 5 days, a week. Just take a week off and reset. Kind of like integrate with nature, get away from the hustle and bustle, get in tune with yourself. You know, experience the facilities, experience the community, experience food designed for your body, for your blood type, and for your background. And just get a taste of what it could be for you to be in this environment and this field and in that type of lifestyle, where you no longer have to endure life shit. So when you come here and experience what it's like to live with Co.Xist and get educated by the coaches and the mentors, the information is just a new series of downloads for you to be able to sustain a new form of living. Even when you go back home, you could go be to New York, Miami, California, wherever it may be, whatever part of the world, you're now instilling new habits that you'll keep with you, new information for you to be able to perform better, live optimal, pain-free, and experience what this new taste of life could be. The opportunity is there. If you're looking for an investment you're actually proud of, a transformation you want to be a part of, and a community you want to be building in, this is it for you. This tree was not the inspiration. I actually drew out the inspiration for the logo before I saw this tree. It just connected so well. When I got up here, I was like, oh, this is perfect. I drew the roots of the tree, and inside of the roots, I drew tough words like divorce, disaster, loss of income, stress, all the bad keywords that we all resonate with when we're in our bad moments. And the roots form those terms. Then I put some soil, built the tree, and all the leaves were all the positive things that we're aiming for. And that was my original idea behind a tattoo I wanted to get later, early on after I went through my own moments, right? So the way I see this working out to make everybody happy, as well as seeing the project happen step by step, I broke it down into about 6 phases. Phase 1 is acquisition, which is closing on the property, getting the topography studies, getting the soil studies, the land studies, seeing what could house what type of soil is able to sustain what type of building. So that's going to be phase 1. It's basically the legal, the zoning, everything pre-development. Phase 2 is going to be the construction of the 12 cabins. The 12 eco-friendly cabins with Cumbre Arquitectura. As I said, it's going to be sustainable, very friendly with the environment. We're also going to house a sort of like a park space where people can hang out, integrate with the other cabins. The cabins are going to be very separate. I want you to be able to walk around naked and not feel like somebody's watching you, because I like doing that. And then we'll have a kitchen and a location for staff to have a safe space to stay in. Phase 3 is then crowdfunding or discovering how to develop the 4 facilities. In the 4 facilities, we'll be able to house the therapy rooms, the functional fitness gym, the hot and cold baths, library, classroom, and the restaurant, designed specifically to like make it a communal space. So that's going to be within the 4 facilities, and that's going to be different architects, and we're going to hire Colombian local architects, but I want different looks and feel of different architects to be able to like build each facility. After we accomplish that, the next phase is going to be self-sufficiency with the project, making sure all the employees are in line, all the systems are in place, it's running on its own, it's operating on its own, the food is coming from the land. It's pretty much a fully automated system, because step 6 is probably going to be branching outwards into other locations for the other environments, or teaming up with people and helping them use Costa Rica as one environment for that genotype, Thailand as another environment for that genotype, or Bali. You know, who knows, we'll expand from there. But then we have the concept locked in. So if you're like me and you like animals, you like nature, you like hiking, you like waterfalls, you like eating real fucking food, you like healing yourself, you like growing, you like being one with the environment, then I invite you to meet up with me on this journey. Take advantage of this opportunity and help us build this new world.